Hey everybody, Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols, and we are back. We've had a few weeks of busy schedules trying to get back on each other's schedule here. But yeah, we got another tactical fitness report, and this time something a little different. I think it's going to be worthwhile because, everybody has people they have to deal with, before they decide they want to go serve, right? That might be parents, it might be your guardians, it might be other family members, and so I guess this one would be called, dealing with parents, whenever you're going to serve, because you're going to have a couple of different types. And I think Jeff and I, we both get emails all the time from parents. A lot of them are just asking for information, just help me understand this process. What's the recruiter telling me, all that type of information. And then you get the kids who have parents that don't want them to serve. They have to go get a real job or go to college first. Or then you get the ones that are, mandatory. You're going to go serve, right? Or whatever, you got a couple of different types that are out there. So
Yep.
which is the one that you mostly hear from, in your circles? Or maybe we can talk about our own personal experiences first and then go there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of, cause I think probably you and I both fit into one of these categories. We kind of talk about it off camera a bit, but, and this is not to negate or overlook the fact that most parents really are trying to get information, want the best opportunity for their kids. So just keep that in mind. This is not like digging into the parents and their nosiness that we can be. But so for me, my father was drafted in Vietnam, and that was his experience with the military. Now he
Same.
had a positive experience when it was all said and done, the way that he defined it. But that's the only thing he had to reference. And so when I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to join the military," he was like, "Oh man, don't do that." Like, because he was working in California from Iowa, working a great job, working on jet engines, in Huntington Beach, and just loved his living the Southern California
Nice.
life, from Iowa. Like what? And then he got drafted, had to come back to Iowa, and so on. So he was just kind of like So what happened is once my dad started surveying, okay, what job is he going to be doing? And then he saw my bud's graduation, and he saw the level of technical skill that I was being given in the training. He was like, oh, this is not the same thing. This is not the same military that pulled me from my life that I loved or appreciated and changed the course of my life. So I think that's where as a young candidate, we want to tell our parents everything, but understand that it's your job as a son or a daughter to begin to share with them the technical aspects that the military will offer you and can offer you if you take the opportunity. This isn't even outside spec war. This is military in general. And I had this conversation today with the candidate that's staying with me and working with me for the week. I said, there's kind of one or two different people in the military through their career. They're the type of people that come into the military, and I'm generalizing, of course, and this is short, but they come in and realize like, wow, this is giving me great opportunity. I can learn all these skills, and then even if I get out, I can apply these skills, and they're just as excited. Or the people are like, I'm in the military, I got nothing else to do, and then they spend their entire life in the military going, I don't know what I want to do, and then they get out and like, I don't want to do. So that's kind of the two people you end up getting in the military at times. And there's more, of course, but that's kind of the way I look at it. I go, don't be the person that thinks that when you're in the military is going to give you everything you need. It's going to give you all the opportunity you can handle.
Yeah.
Take the opportunity. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I would say this, just like you and I have been preaching for over a year now, I said, look, do your research. Do your research not only for yourself, but for telling your parents what's going on. Because you're going to be sitting at the dinner table probably, and they're going to be asking you, hey, how's the process going? Or, you're going to have to break it to them to say that you want to serve. Well, you better have your ducks in a row because, parents aren't stupid,
Right.
and they're going to be asking, well, what about this? Where are you going to be living? How much training do you have? Where could you be stationed? All these little questions that you kind of should have an idea of what you want to do. And the way I did that when I was growing up, I knew I wanted to serve. I just didn't know how. and what branch. Even both my grandfathers were Army, World War II. My dad was drafted, um, in Vietnam. So it was Army was, pretty much what I knew. I didn't know anything about the Navy. But I guess that's probably a little bit of who I am too. I try to be a little bit different, and wanted to kind of forge my own pathway. So I had to kind of do some, um, research on exactly, what the Navy offered, and I was luckily in high school, and then, I had a teacher saying, yeah, if you want to be a pilot, you should think about the Naval Academy or a Navy officer. I'm like, oh, because back then, Top Gun came out. That was cool stuff,
Right.
but I still got drilled on, well, what's life like? Where could you be living? And then, so I actually did some research, and my research found this. I said, look at all these cool Navy bases, right? They're all on the coast. I grew up in Florida. I was like, I'm going to be in a beach town no matter where I live in the Navy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that was very appealing to me, as opposed to listening to my mom's stories where she grew up, Fort Benning, Fort Bragg, Fort Sill,
Yeah.
I mean, she bounced all around as an Army brat, and that's like I said, they're not horrible places, but they're different, and
it's not what you wanted.
It's a different world. Yeah. And I was like, this Navy thing, I think I'm going to go Navy. And then, between that, you have 10 different ideas of what you want to do in the Navy as well. But, I think, having done that little bit of research and kind of understanding, some of the basics. I mean, that is pure basic. I mean, I still didn't know the ranks of the Navy, but I knew where I'd be living. Right. Or at least an idea where I'd be living. So, do your research, because not only for yourself, and not only for the process to get into the training, all that information you need to share with your parents. So, you can get their buy-in, because it is nice, It is nice to get their buy-in, because, this next part of the equation is, what about the parent that doesn't want you to serve?
Right.
Is absolutely going to disown you if you even decide it.
Yeah.
How do you do with that one?
I've gotten kind of a few of those.
Yeah, same.
Or I get the feeling that that's what it is. And typically my response is it's easier said than done, certainly, for me to just go, hey, you're an adult, you do what you want. And I believe that to the core. I do. I think kind of what Stu and I have been talking before that statement is made, you got to exhaust the other stuff. Like, Dad, Mom, this is what I'm doing. This is the research I'm doing. This is the opportunity. And then after the fact, look, it's hard to explain to you all once you get into the community and you have opportunities that evolve into things that you never anticipated in terms of continuing education or leadership development or those sort of things that they're hard to figure out until you get in. But there is a big red flag for me in terms of someone's character is not the right word, but intent maybe, when they're so like I've had somebody that's actually physically came and trained with me in the late 20s, but he hadn't even told his fiance.
Wow.
She is not for it at all. He hadn't told his parents either, because he's just like, they won't understand. I understand that's a difficult place to be. It is. But I've also found that from personal experience, if you make decisions that compromise your own character, that go, man, I could really want to do this, but well, I guess part of this marriage thing or part of this friendship thing or part of this son thing, I've got to compromise the things I want to do most. I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I've seen that too, where kids like, I have to go to college first. Well, if they talk to you and me, we're going to agree with your parents on that one. Go to college, get it over with. You know, I know it may suck for you, but be patient. Spend those 4 years training hard, especially if you're trying to get into special ops stuff. You're going to need that extra time.
I think more often than not, we see this scenario play out. What I mean is, Stu and I get probably as much as any email that I get is the 27, 28-year-old that's listened intently to his parents till that he was 27 and realized, like, I don't want your life. I'm done following your shadow. I'm
Yeah.
done. Like, I don't want to be a lawyer. Right. And then they call us and go, hey man, deadline's in 7 months. I've been wanting to do this my whole life. I'm like,
Yeah.
then now, because I had somebody literally email me that today. He's 28 and he goes, man, I want to be an officer. And here's my numbers. I'm like, 57 push-ups. I go, you are about 100 away. He's 28.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
tough.
go, you're at 28 to get an OCS billet. You
Yeah.
better get 150 push-ups.
Yeah.
You
So
better get 150 sit-ups. You better get 30 pull-ups. And you better swim a sub-7 and run a sub-8.
whew, yeah. Yeah, it's
That's where
very
you're going to
competitive.
be.
It's very competitive. You're so true.
So that's the other side is like, I'm going to listen to my parents. You go through it and you go through college. What's the next step? Well, I did all this work. My parents paid for my college. I better go into the real world. And I start working 3 years as a law clerk and hate it.
Yeah.
The one person I know works at a marketing firm in Atlanta, and it's just like, I hate my life. Right. And then I had another person was a day trader in Manhattan. They're just like, I hate my life. I want to join the Navy, but they're
Yeah.
28. And you're like, now you have no choices.
Yeah.
You don't. You have one choice. Score better than the top 1% in the entire PST community.
Yeah, that's tough.
Without ever training for it. Because I've been sitting at a desk in East Side Manhattan for the last 6 years trading stocks. And I'm completely out of shape. My knees are killing me. And I started to try to get back in shape. And then they go,
Yeah.
oh, you need to go to get a gym membership. Well, the gym memberships in East Side Manhattan are like $300 a month. And they're little boutiques.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
So you got to figure this stuff out.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because, here's, how about this one? Here's a good story. We had a kid that, here local that, I remember he worked out with us a couple years while he was in high school, and he wanted to enlist. Now, he also applied for some ROTC scholarships, and, his parents want him to go to college, and I get that. I'd get it over with, get it done. He actually turned down the ROTC scholarships because he wants to enlist. But he compromised with his parents. He goes, let me enlist. I'll go to college. I'll finish this college. He finished his college in 3.5 years, and he is just enlisted. Everything's like running perfectly like clockwork. He leaves this year, to go to Buds. And, his parents are happy. They see that he busted his ass for 4 years to get things done. He worked part-time, went to school full-time. And he paid for his own college.
Yeah, that's a recipe for success right there.
That is just like, that's perfect. So if you're having problems with parents maybe saying, you get to college first, entertain it, because it's not a bad route to do that. But you can also do this. If you're really itching to serve and go in right now, there's great opportunities in the Navy too that you need to do your research on and find out more. But, there is the GI Bill that pays for your college. There are, Seaman to Admiral programs that, you can be a paid enlisted guy for 4 years going to college, getting paid to go to college.
Yeah.
And you gotta bring it to get those scholarships, but they're available, and
they're available in abundance depending on the university too.
Yeah. And, you need to look into that as selling points to your parents that don't want you to go serve because they want you to do a more traditional route, real job. I hate that term, but, it's out there and you're going to see it. That's why I love working out with these guys that all want to go serve, in the mornings here in Maryland, because nobody in that group will say, why do you want to be in the military? It's just such a great little community of support, that we're all just preparing for, guys just, heading out and going to serve in variety of tactical professions. But, if you don't have that support, you need to find why. Is it because your parents just hate the military? or do they want you to get your education first? Regardless, you need to start finding some very good points of not only why you want to serve, but why, inform your parents of what all good there is.
Right.
And there's a lot of good,
Yeah, I think that there's no really soft way for me to say this, I guess, but this topic highlights probably the primary reason why Stu and I keep saying give it some time. Because if you are now, certainly I listened to my parents when I was 18. I took their advice to some degree, right? And even 19, 20, this day I still talk to my mother regularly, and I'm like, listen to your mom. That shouldn't ever really go away. Hopefully, as long as you have a healthy relationship with your parents. But here's the issue: is that if you are 18 and you make no decisions, which is really common. That's why so many 18-year-olds have so many issues at Buds, is because they've never had freedom. They've never had to make these decisions. And when they branch off and make all these decisions, and they go, well, mom and dad don't approve. Mom and dad this, and mom and dad that. And they're like, right, how do I pay bills? How do I vote? How do I do all these sort of things I've never had to do? Oh, wait a minute. Like, I can't fall under my parents' insurance anymore. I have to file my own taxes. What does that mean? Like, all these things happen as an adult. And the thing is that's a lot to take on for an 18-year-old. I get it.
Yeah.
So if you are 18, it's pretty acceptable that you're going to run into this issue. One of these sort of topics we've covered. If you're 20 or 22, you're still in college type age, and if you are still living with your parents, you are still decisions are still being made. Big life decisions are being made. Your car is being paid by your parents. Your rent is being paid by your parents. You are going to have a real hard time in the community.
Or just breaking away.
Right.
It's a hard transition. Breaking away is hard enough. It's hard at 18 to leave home.
That's not to say, go ahead.
And that's why it's like, I call this the perfect storm for failure for the 18-year-old who leaves home for the first time. I left home, I went to college. It was military college, but it was, it still sucked.
You jumped right into some structure.
Right. I had a structured program. I knew what I needed to do to get out of it, but still, I left home. I was homesick, missed all my buddies, missed my girlfriend. Girlfriend breaks up with me 6 months later. Miss my parents. It's just this perfect storm of everything going wrong. And then people are yelling at you. You're having to perform at your highest levels ever that you've ever thought of, 10 times more than maybe you've prepared for. And then, you're getting constant negative feedback, and it is just a perfect storm for it. You're living in a different city. You're living with a whole bunch of different friends, making new friends, and
and they're all experiencing similar stressors. Your freshman year of college, and I imagine the freshman year at the Naval Academy or West Point or Air Force Academy or like that. That's why I never really even considered going, because I was like, I am not equipped to be an 18-year-old man and go to the Naval Academy. I will not handle this authority well. And I maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't. But the point is that's what, those are the questions. These are the questions you guys got to ask yourself. The things that Stu is talking about, you got to ask yourself these questions. You got to go, if I say heck with it, I'm going to join the military, despite what my parents think. How are they going to react? If you are really, really worried, like, oh my God, they're going to cut me off, you probably don't have the best relationship with your parents to begin with. So who cares, or it's like, that's not, it's hard to answer because I can remember what happened to me. At the time, my girlfriend, when I went to Buds, called me crying because she was sleeping with somebody else, called my name out while having sex with somebody else. And she heard he was trying to kick the door, and then she's calling me crying, trying to see if I know someone that's, in that state with the police. I'm like, no. And it was like literally after Hell Week. I just couldn't be more numb to it. Right. So, and I totally forgive her. Like, we're friends. It's not a big deal. But like, the point is that you're going to see, just walk onto a Buds compound. The moment you walk onto the Buds compound, you're in the buildings, just look around. You're going to see 1/3 of these guys on their cell phones. Like, I'm so sorry, baby. I love you. I can't believe it. Oh, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't have a relationship. That's not at all what I'm saying. But you got to understand, if you go down this path, you can expect there to be some real decision making that you have to have. You can't go into this thing blindly going, oh no, she loves me or he loves me. My parents, like one of my friends I still know in Buds, I think I've told this story before. His father completely disowned him because he quit.
Yeah.
And he was an '06 SEAL in the Navy.
Yeah.
His mother divorced the father because the father stopped talking to the son in the course of my 6 months at Buds.
Wow.
So he was a Commodore at Warcom.
Yeah, you told me that. That's
you know what I mean?
awful.
So it's like, that wasn't, my dad couldn't have been more proud. My dad, the day I graduated Buds, my dad bought a Navy SEAL flag at that t-shirt shop. He flew that flag until it just became tattered. Then my mom sewed it and fixed it. It's hanging in my garage right now. He had that thing flying since 2002.
That's awesome.
You know, it's like he couldn't have been. I rarely ever saw my father without a Navy SEAL shirt on, like a collared shirt, or my mom or something. They were super proud of what I did. Scared the pants off them every time I deployed.
Yeah,
but my thought is that my parents typically, they look at their sons and daughters and see how much that profession or any profession fulfills them. Once they see that fulfillment, I believe that the vast majority of parents will support the idea.
Yeah, I would agree.
And you can't do that at the beginning because everyone's just like, oh my God, like we've been at war for the last X number of years. You bet if you join the SEAL community, there's a real good chance that you're going to be put in harm's way. And that's tough as a parent. Like, that's tough.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But that's the nature of difficult decision making.
Yeah. And you know what? It really does go back to the very general thing that we talk about is, you know, your maturity level is going to determine how that conversation goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's going to also help you make wiser decisions. You know, your research is going to help you make wiser decisions going into this process. And then once your parents are seeing that you've got all your ducks in a row, you got this figured out, you know, they may even try to help you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, some, and I've done that many times with parents emailing back and forth and, you know, just kind of giving them a heads up of, you know, just things that they could use, you know, along their journey. You know, what's a good thing? What's good things to ship them when they're at Buds? You know, I get that one a lot. But then the whole process, you know, I do have a hard time though, when you're really young kid and you are, you know, bound and determined to get to Buds at 17 years old. I mean, if you can make it through Buds at 17-year-old, you know, I am so impressed by people that can do that. 17, 18 years old. One, I don't think I could have done it. But two, you know, the kids I see that graduate Buds at that, and I say kids loosely, you know, they're men, you know, that graduate Buds at that age are phenomenal. I mean, they are literally phenomenal. Like you were talking about the officer slot at 28. The kid who's graduating Buds at 17, 18 years old is equally as phenomenal.
Yeah.
As that 1% of the, you know, top PST scores. They may not even have top PST scores, but they're mentally tough. They just don't care, and they're just getting it done. And a lot of 18-year-olders don't have that.
Yeah.
That's why Jeff and I say, you know, give yourself some patience and get, in fact, you know, give yourself some time, have some patience, and get fully prepared. In fact, I just wrote a big article today. It's on my Facebook page. I'll try to save it on my Instagram somehow, but it's basically 10 questions that you need to ask yourself before you go. And it's everything from how much do you work out every day? You know, what types of workouts you're doing, what's your history. It's basically kind of like a trainer questionnaire almost, but it's for special ops guys, you know, like, you know, what have you been doing for the last 6 months? You know, it just kind of gives you those things. And if your answers aren't this, or this, you may need to give yourself 6 months. You may need to give yourself a year. You may need to give yourself 2 years, depending on your answers to these questions. So anyway.
Yeah, I think the last statement I have kind of just fits in this, and it's actually a pretty short sort of statement, I guess, is that one of the biggest red flags that I see in this process is this scenario. Parent contacts me on behalf of their son or even daughter, but in this context we use son because this has happened twice now. And they want me to train them. No problem. Emails go back and forth. At no point does the son chime in. I go, well, what does your son think? Well, this is what he needs. No, I'm not asking you anymore. I want to talk to your son. Well, he's this. And no. What does your son want to do? And like, well, yeah, but I'm the one. I don't give a shit who you are. Last I checked, your son is the one that's going to have to go to buds, not you, dad.
Yeah.
And then you get this extremely overbearing dad that probably was a former something or wanted to be former something, and he's hell-bent. It's like the super dad here in Virginia Beach, with no offense to all the former academy dads that play lacrosse.
Oh, my God.
Literally are cursing their 9-year-old sons, calling them a mother effer.
That's horrible.
Yelling at him, man, so much that the referees are like, whoa. That's why my son's not playing lacrosse this year. I was like, this is there is just the Johns Hopkins versus Naval Academy dads, literally every third word is F, coming out just yelling at their kids, going onto the field.
That's awful.
They're all like got their Naval Academy lacrosse hats on, or Johns Hopkins. That's Virginia Beach lacrosse, man. It's nasty. Wow. So I just would sit all the way at the end, and I just don't deal with it. But my point is like, you see that guy that's my son is going to be a this, or he's going to be a this, or he's going to be a this. I'm like, okay. Because as soon as that son shows up for training, I'm going to be like, man, do you want to be here?
Yeah.
Do you really want to be here?
That's a real good point. Cause with online training and local training, I tell people all the time, I'm like, have your son call me, have your son get in touch with me, because I can't do it through you. Right. Yeah. And don't buy your son a gift of 12 weeks of training with me or whatever. Don't do that, because it's just a waste of money. You know? Yep.
Yeah. And it's a kind of, it's more sad than anything, honestly, because as much as Stu and I really appreciate the community that we love and that kind of raised us in a sense, and we still try to contribute to positively, I just want people to do what they want to love to do. And if it doesn't include military service, then it doesn't. And that's couldn't be more than okay. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
And we're just here to help guys, hopefully men and women, develop more clear intent prior to joining.
Yes.
So they come in and go, ooh, yeah, this is what Stu and Jeff talking about. Like, this is the opportunity. There's a lot of things I can do. This is awesome. Like, I'm not just the military service. That's what I mean by military service will offer so much opportunity, but it's only offered if you take it.
Yeah.
There's so many people that just join the military, which is also okay. Great service. They're just like, I don't know what I want to do in life. That's okay. But the majority of people that are going to spec war are wired maybe a little bit different, and they should take every opportunity that the military offers them. I'm talking everything from like continuing education, right, to Stu's even saying prior to him, like there are a lot of ROTC scholarships for branches of service that are just kind of like the university hasn't filled them.
Yeah.
Right. So if you like, and like my thought was like at Troy University where I was at, there was the Army and Air Force ROTC. Like I could have very easily gotten a scholarship there, but they didn't. Auburn had Navy ROTC, and Auburn wouldn't let me commute.
Right. So
my intent initially was to be an officer. That was like, well, shoot, man, I got my college in. Like that's what I should be doing, right? But things changed and things worked out the way they did. But let the military, when you get in, look beyond the moment where you're at. Like go to your career counselor and go, I'm enlisted or I'm officer in the Navy or whatever. What do I have to offer? Like what does the Navy, like you're going to be able to, man, you'll be able to get your PhD paid for kind of thing, right? Like the command that I was at, like if you want from an enlisted standpoint, if you have your undergrad, the graduate level degrees are offered from 3 schools.
That's awesome.
Stanford, Columbia, Yale. Those are your options.
Yeah.
Pretty good options that are paid for at your rank.
That's incredible.
So if you're an 04 and E8, you get E8 pay in New York City, which is substantial.
And a pretty good BHA, I'm sure.
That's that too. Plus they pay for your college.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You won't believe the opportunity offered to you guys in Spec War.
Medical school. Corpsman.
Yeah, law school. I got offered law school.
Corpsman or, going to, medical school paid for by the Navy.
And that is good medical school.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not mistaken, it's Columbia Medical School.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know there's one in D.C. that's National Institute of Health that all the Uniform Armed Services Medical School. But yeah, I mean they bounce around all over. I mean it's incredible.
So
but anyway, the opportunities are limitless. I had a buddy of mine that was a SEAL, went through buds with him, had a college degree, tried to get an OCS slot 5 years later. Couldn't get an OCS slot back to SEALs. They're all taken. But he took an OCS slot through Pensacola, and he's doing he has done 2 of the jobs that I would think are probably the coolest jobs in the Navy. He was a Navy SEAL, and now he's flying F-14s, or was flying F-14.
Yep.
So I mean, how cool is that?
I know, right? Like and that's the thing. It's tough for some of you guys, and we understand, to kind of be open to that sort of stuff. Yep. So that's why be laser light focused on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. And I know this was titled Parent Problems, but it once again, it all goes back to fully understanding your circumstances and the opportunities so you can sell your parents into their support. That's
bring them into the discussion.
Yeah.
Because to the point is, your parent should be part of the discussion. And so don't mistake me. I'm not saying exclude them. And I know Stu certainly isn't. Bring them into the discussion. That's also not to say you shouldn't have them your recruiter talk to them. But at the end of the day, when you enlist or you get commission, it's your life.
Yep.
Make sure you set things in place that you are most happy with.
Yeah. Yep. Put the big boy pants on.
Yep.
Perfect. Get rolling.
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, we'll do this again, Jeff.
We will.
Thank you very much. And you guys, feel free to email us. These videos are on each of our YouTube channels. Email us, comment below. We'll get back to them and, let us know, what your situation is, and we might be able to answer it a little bit better for you, a little more specific. So
appreciate it, Stu. Thanks.
Thank you.